From Interior Alaska's most trusted news source, this is the Fbx Evening News.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. Our top story, a jury trial has been set for April of next year for the Tanana man charged with murder in the shooting death of 2 Alaska State Troopers.
Nathaniel Kangas is accused of shooting the officers inside his father's home in Tanana. His father, Arvin Kangas, is also charged with felonies in the case, including tampering with physical evidence. Now, court documents allege the two moved the bodies and weapons of the troopers after they'd been killed. The attorney for Arvin Kangas argued today about the security measures that will be put in place during the trial, saying it could prevent his client from getting a fair trial. Judge Paul Lyle stated a jury of 16 will be chosen. Those 16 will be chosen by the box method from roughly 100 candidates. The trial is expected to run from April 13th through April 27th in Nenana. Now, Arvin Kangas is also facing misdemeanor charges from an assault case. Those very charges are the ones that brought the slain troopers Gabe and Rich Scott Johnson to Tanana on May 1st. The elder Kangas will be tried for those charges next week in Nenana.
Fairbanks-based troopers are investigating the shooting death of an assistant district attorney in Barrow. According to troopers, investigators are actively trying to reach Barrow but have not arrived as of news time. It has been confirmed that 48-year-old Brian Sullivan was found dead last evening. The acting chief of police of the North Slope Borough requested assistance from the Fairbanks-based Alaska Bureau of Investigation in the incident. Sullivan was working out of Barrow but was supervised by the Fairbanks District Attorney's Office. Authorities say another adult male is in custody. However, no other details have been made available.
A former North Pole police officer has been indicted by a grand jury. According to a release by the North Pole Police Department, Ryan Webb was indicted on charges including criminal impersonation, theft in the second degree, and fraud. Webb was employed as a police officer from 2009 until he was terminated in 2011. In January 2013, a victim who was a former roommate of Webb's made a complaint to North Pole Police regarding identity theft, which reportedly resulted in the charges being filed.
A North Pole man is in jail after authorities say he sexually assaulted a woman and held her against her will. 27-year-old Joseph Rudy is charged with kidnapping and sexual assault on December 9th. According to an affidavit, Rudy held his girlfriend captive in his residence overnight, repeatedly abusing her both physically and sexually. Co-workers reported the female victim missing when she didn't show up to work the next day. Troopers found the woman inside the home. She said she was abused and held against her will for hours. Rudy denied the allegations, but troopers say he was charged in a March 2014 assault case involving the same woman. Rudy was later arrested and taken to Fairbanks Correctional Center on a no-bail status.
The U.S. Senate has passed legislation that would allow Alaska tribes to issue and enforce protective orders against non-natives. The bill, which still has to be voted on by the House, repeals the Alaska exemption to the Violence Against Women Act. Senator Lisa Murkowski today responded to the action. She said that during the last Alaska Federation of Natives convention, a group of young people from the village of Tanana took center stage in front of 4,000 or 5,000 people and made it clear that they'd had enough of violence and abuse in rural areas.
We are tired of adults who are abusive. We are tired of the drinking. We are tired of the drugs. We are tired of adults who are not role models. We are tired of the violence. And when it takes our young people to shame the grown-ups into action, we darn well better be paying attention.
All right, when we come back, it was a busy night at last night's City Council meeting. Jamie Schwartzwald was there, and he'll have the details.
Also, in our weekly health report, we'll give you tips on what to do with the Christmas leftovers. Stay with us.
And welcome back to the Fbx Evening News. Representatives with the City of Fairbanks met with interior delegates of the Alaska State Legislature today to present capital requests for 2015. Jamie Schwartzwald has the details.
John Eberhardt laid out a list of 7 capital projects that come with a price tag of just over $20 million. Only 3 legislators of the Interior delegation were present at this morning's meeting. A bulk of the requested funding, $15.5 million worth, would go towards local road reconstruction. According to officials, heavy rainfall last summer wreaked havoc on city streets.
They're beyond patching. They look like a crumbled eggshell. So I had the guys, we went through every subdivision and we identified what roads we can no longer patch. That's in a spreadsheet, and that aggregate number's rolled up to the 15 you see, so we could laundry list it.
Meanwhile, the Fairbanks City Council on Monday night passed an amended ordinance related to business licensing at multi-vendor events such as bazaars, trade shows, or public markets. The idea is to allow organizers of such events to be licensed rather than requiring each participating vendor to obtain an individual business license from the city. The original ordinance offered licensing exemptions for events sponsored by municipal, state, or federal government agencies. That language was struck in Councilman Jerry Cleworth's amended ordinance.
To my way of thinking, to be non-hypocritical, either we no longer require a multi-vendor permit, or we treat every organization fairly.
The amended version of the ordinance passed uncontested. The council also advanced a labor agreement between the city and the AFL-CIO Joint Crafts Council to a second reading to be held January 5th. The proposed collective bargaining agreement calls for a 2.5% increase in wages for union members. Mayor Eberhardt credited Chief of Staff Jim Williams for his role in negotiating terms of the agreement.
He did a really great job. It moved very fast. He had never negotiated a labor contract till he joined us.
Jamie Schwartzwald reporting.
The public is invited to a Wednesday night meeting to express their views on how to deal with air quality issues in the Fairbanks North Star Borough. The Borough Assembly will hold a special town hall meeting at 7 tomorrow night in the Borough Administrative Center on Pioneer Road. The meeting comes in the wake of the October municipal election, in which voters gave the borough the power once again to regulate air pollution. Air quality regulations, legal matters, and health issues and effects of pollution by particulate matter will all be discussed.
Holiday gatherings are plentiful this time of year, as are the leftovers. Monty Bowen talks about food safety in this week's Health Report.
When you wrap up the Christmas party at your house and the last guests say goodnight, it's time to clean up the mess. There might be a lot of food to put away, but some things are better off being tossed once the guests head home.
If something's been out longer than 2 hours, you shouldn't even consider saving it as a leftover. So that's sort of our safe window when things can still be salvaged and used maybe at a later date.
According to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, bacteria can grow on some foods within 2 hours unless refrigerated. This type of bacteria, which cannot be smelled or tasted, can make you sick. Some self-serve foods like chips or mixed nuts can harbor bacteria if people reach in with their hands, so these are best to toss.
Any dips, so chip dips or salsa, things where people are maybe going to leave behind some of their chips, I would throw it out. Don't put the salsa back in the jar. Don't put the dip back in the container.
Once you decide a food is safe to save, it will keep in the refrigerator, but only for a few days.
3 to 4 days in the refrigerator is a safe window. And beyond that, you want to keep things in the freezer, or again, you might just consider tossing it out if you're beyond that window.
Malone recommends reheating leftovers to an internal temperature of 165 degrees and says liquids should be brought to a rolling boil. This is Monty Bowen reporting.
The Health Report is brought to you by the Ear, Nose, and Throat Clinic, located in the Medical Dental Arts Building. Call 456-7768.
I once had a friend who was eating some turkey after Christmas, thought it was a little leftovers. It was from November, from Thanksgiving.
Ew.
Oh yeah, he was sicker than a dog for a week.
Well,
Crazy.
now I want guacamole, like really.
Oh yeah, that did look good. All right, Joe Cook is up next with today's Nanook Corner.
Also, KTVF Sports starts its high school basketball team previews. Those stories are next. Stay with us.
Welcome back, Interior Sports fans. Joe Cook back in the sports seat this Tuesday with your local sports. In today's Nanook Corner, the UAF hockey team makes a special visit to someone who is still very much a part of their team. Here's more. After splitting their WCHA series with the number 2 ranked Minnesota State Mavericks, the Nanook hockey team headed back to Fairbanks after Saturday night's 2-5 loss. But first, they made a stop in Seattle this past Sunday night to visit one of their own for the ultimate pick-me-up.
Every time he's got a smile, wanting to know how the team's doing, and if you didn't know it, you wouldn't know anything's wrong. So it's unbelievable the way he is battling it.
Local product Justin Woods, a sophomore defenseman for the Nanooks, was diagnosed with Ewing sarcoma in May of last year. It's a rare bone cancer. He's been receiving treatment in Seattle since his diagnosis.
True inspiration to all of us, how he's handled the situation, and he's fighting through it, and he's doing an awesome job, I think, and something I think we could all learn from. It's a little bit of adversity and how he's handling that.
The Nooks surrounded Woods at the Ronald McDonald House and their continued support of their teammate and to show love for those at the Ronald McDonald House. With the help of various volunteers and donations, Nanook players gave out 50 gift bags to kids at the Ronald McDonald House. The goodies had everything about interior Alaska and Nanook hockey. This kind of experience can put things into perspective for a team with an 8-8 record and banned from postseason play.
Some of those kids were not over 10 years old, and they were having to overgo more than any of us ever could have, dreamed of having to go through. Just how they handle that, and they're positive about it, and things can be a lot worse.
To know how blessed that we are and what we get to do, and then just to take a little bit of time out of our day to help some kids and put some smiles on their faces. It was a lot of fun, and it was gratifying.
You kind of get a feeling of what they're going through with their health, and it was amazing how positive and how much they were smiling and their outlook, and I think they really appreciated the guys taking the time to go over and meet with them.
Woods is scheduled to continue treatment until March of 2015, but there's no doubt that the Nanook hockey team is Team Justin.
Nanook Corner, brought to you by Sports Medicine Fairbanks.
It's already here, folks. The high school basketball season starts this weekend. Tonight we begin team previews for some of the area teams. We start with 3A hoops in Boileau Hall.
The Monroe Rams won their third straight 3A state title last season, a 3A boys first. So this year, a four-peat? The last team to win 4 straight was a 4A Ketchikan team from 1964 to 1968.
We're coming out here every day to compete for the ultimate goal, which is to win a state championship. I mean, a four-peat is everybody on this team's dream right now. That's what we're shooting for.
Last year's group was special. Gone are the Scooter Bynums, Tyler Wells, and David Stepoviches, but the Rams feel they are better than people think, even though losing a great senior class.
We did lose a lot of guys, but that doesn't mean much. We have new up and coming freshmen, and one of my goals this year is to make sure we compete every day in practice so we can achieve our goals at the end of the year.
Rams head coach Franco Stanek reminds us that there is a lot of work to be done before any talk of a four-peat. There's a process.
If we get better every day, we can start talking about where we're at and what we're trying to accomplish as we move forward. Right now, the last thing on my mind is winning 4 state championships. What's important on my mind is getting these guys to buy into playing hard, playing unselfish, and playing in a manner where they care about one another.
The Rams open their season in an Aurora Conference game this Saturday at 6 p.m. against the Allison Ravens in Boileau Hall.
The Hutchinson Hawks boys team will be in the mix in the Aurora Conference. With 9 seniors, this season more than most means everything. Here's more.
As cliche as it sounds, this could be Hutchinson's year. The Hawks will be Aurora Conference contenders, bringing back 9 seniors. Hutch finished 3rd in the conference last year, just missing out on the state tournament. Last year's loss to Delta in the Aurora tourney is fueling the team to make state this season.
When we went to team camp, we saw Delta play us, and we just wanted to crush them. That's what we wanted to do, just to get back at them. But our whole team is good. No, but we haven't lost anyway, and we've all gotten better.
I think it'd be everything to them. I know they went once their freshman year, and I've been wanting to get them back when I've been here, and we've struggled a little bit along the way. But I think it'll mean a lot to them if we can go to state again.
Marcy Williamson was the head coach last year, but she moved due to her husband's change to military station. Shane Johnston, last year's assistant coach, takes over. Johnston has known this core group since middle school, so there isn't a lot of turnover for this year's Hawks team.
We've pretty much stayed the same. I mean, I've added my pieces that are mine, but I've tried to keep, there's so many seniors on this team that they have a system that they're used to running, so I've tried to incorporate that into what I do, and then bringing over my knowledge or what I learned from Coach Benson from the girls. I use a little bit of that too, so it's kind of a blending of the new and the old.
The Hawks open their season this Saturday at 6 p.m. at Lathrop High School, taking on the Malamutes.
And that's it for sports. Your full weather forecast with Mike Schultz is next, and we'll catch you next time.
Hey everyone, welcome back into the Fbx Evening News. Mike Schultz with you once again talking about the weather, and it was a chilly day across the interior. A little breezy at times, which amplified on the cold factor and gave us a wind chill factor, but it looks like the wind should be dying down, and no real snow in the forecast, maybe a few spits here and there. That's about it. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit. Our weather photograph tonight, once again, Gary Kahlberg up there in Fox, able to capture a really unique photograph. The moon, the aurora, and also a halo around the sun. Boy, you got a triple header there. That's really impressive. And as always, if you have a photograph to share, send it to photos@ktvf11.com. And if you have a Christmas photo to send that too. We want to share the spirit with everybody here. Here's what's going on at the airport right now. 13 degrees after a high of 14. The low last night, 10. Winds are gusting to about 15 miles per hour. Record high, 42, 1960, down to 55 below in 1935. Sunrise and sunset, about 4 hours and 2 minutes, a loss of 4 minutes from yesterday. Our satellite and radar, once again showing a flow coming from the east. There's just not really a whole lot of moisture with it, just little pockets of moisture, and that's about it. And you see everything staying right along the Alaska range. Some of this might get a little heavier and give us a chance of some flurries by tomorrow night into Thursday, but no real accumulation expected. But the good news is the temperatures are not going to change a whole lot. We're looking at the warm weather to continue, or above normal, I should say, at least. Now, what's going on across southeast Alaska? More rain falling around Juneau and Ketchikan. In the Anchorage Bowl, they've got a problem with some freezing rain and drizzle there. That's making roads real fun to drive on. Kodiak, cloudy skies, showers around the Cold Bay area. Then up and down the west coast, once again, clear to partly cloudy skies. Clouds and cool temperatures around Barrow, and clouds also at Fort Yukon. Lower 48 weather, taking a look over the Pacific Northwest. It is the same as it has been for the last 3 days. More rain falling there. And the rain is expected to slowly work its way down the coast, too. So once again, California getting ready for some very heavy rainfall. But the big news today is what's going on over the northeast. And look at the satellite and radar. You can see a mix of colors here. The purple indicating the freezing precipitation, the green, the rain, and blue snow. So a real big mixed bag of weather there. And it's going to get heavier. The snow expected over the northeast, especially the New England areas. While out to the west, once again, a good flow of moisture across the Pacific Northwest. And things are dry down around California, but that's going to change too. The overall outlook is calling for more rain moving on down the coast, right on down to Los Angeles by Thursday night and Friday. And look at the jet stream, once again, as we talked about it yesterday, way up to the north, diving down over the northeast and bringing more rain across the western half of the country. Well, back to Alaska for tomorrow. On the northern areas, we're looking at mostly clear skies for Barrow, mostly cloudy skies with blowing snow for Nome, and wind advisory in the Fort Yukon area up to 35 to 45 mile an hour winds, reducing visibility. Here in the interior, nothing that dramatic. Cloudy skies in Fairbanks, snow showers possibly in the Delta Junction area, and a chance of snow in the Healy area. Like I said, no real accumulation expected. Over southeast Alaska, rain for Juneau and windy conditions continuing across the Ketchikan area. Well, out to the southwest, it looks like for the most part showers for Cold Bay. Rain is likely for Kodiak and mostly cloudy skies in the Bethel region. And over the south central sections, real ugly mess down there. Scattered showers for Anchorage and Homer, rain and snow. 2 inches of mixed rain and snow expected for Valdez, so really sloppy down there. Okay, time once again for our kids' weather. This week we're talking with the kids from Nordale Elementary School. Here is a young lady tonight with a very nice picture to share with us.
I drew this picture out of black paper, white paper, and crayons. This picture shows the snowstorm that's been happening in Fairbanks, Alaska. And in this picture right here, it shows that lots of snow is falling because that's what has been happening for 3 to 2 days, and it's been 8 inches high.
Obviously, she was talking about the big snowstorm we had last week. But again, thanks to Mount McKinley Bank for sponsoring our kids' weather. And tomorrow night, another girl will be here, a young lady, with a question about weather. All right, your forecast for the remainder of the night, 3 degrees below zero. Cooler, cloudy, diminishing winds. Tomorrow's forecast calling for mostly cloudy skies, maybe a few afternoon breezes. That 11 number is to indicate 11 days until we start gaining daylight back. That's a good one to celebrate. And the extended forecast calling for maybe some snow showers on Thursday. Then mainly cloudy skies right on through the weekend with temperatures rising toward the end of the weekend. Could be as high as 15 degrees by Sunday, and overnight lows will also continue rising too. So our abnormal temperatures are going to continue. No end in sight.
I'll take it.
Yeah, It's nice. Ho, ho, ho.
Ho, ho, ho.
Yeah.
That's right. Are you going to wear that every single day?
Every day, unless I forget.
Right.
But until, how many days? What day is it? It's the 19th.
Yeah.
So we have how many days until Christmas?
This is the
19th.
19th. That would be 16 days till Christmas.
It's been a long day, guys.
Yeah, all right.
Speaking of that, that will wrap up this edition of the Fairbanks Evening News. We are glad you could join us.
Tonight on NBC Nightly News, the former CIA director will comment on the recently released torture report from Congress. That's up next with Brian Williams.
All right, join us here 6 days a week at 6 and 11 or online anytime at webcenter11.com.
And we're going to leave you tonight with a Christmas concert today from Wood River Elementary. From all of us here at the News Center. Have a great night.
Good night.